Once your children start communicating more online, one of the things that you may become aware of is that in fact the messages that they're receiving might not be particularly nice. And so many of us will have heard of the term cyberbullying, and we understand that to be a bit like bullying in the real world. It's when other people are being mean to your child in a very consistent, insidious way. Now, the cyberbullying can happen in lots of different ways, but I suppose the key signs for you as a parent might be that something is changing about your son or daughter in response to what's been said to them online. And so it may be the case, for example, that you see that they don't want to go places, so they might want to avoid school, or they might want to avoid a football club, or they might want to avoid their dancing. It may be that they seem a lot more upset generally. It might be that you notice whenever they're using their phone, or if they're using the laptop perhaps to communicate with their friends, that suddenly they slam the lid of the laptop down, or suddenly they look upset about something that they've just read online. Those might be the indications for you that all is not well in terms of their online communication. We can't assume that it's cyberbullying, but it might be important for us to consider that it could be cyberbullying, which means we then need to go and we need to check with our child about what's happening with them and their online communications. If we're concerned that our children are perhaps being bullied online, it's going to be important that we check in with them, and how we check in with them can make a difference. Oftentimes, if we just simply ask questions of our children, it puts a bit of a social pressure on them to give us an answer. And if it's the case that they're worried we might be disappointed, for example, or they're afraid that we're going to be cross about what they might tell us, or they're afraid that whatever they might say to us will get them or somebody else into trouble, they may be really reluctant to tell us what's going on. One of the best ways then to promote a really open, honest form of communication is for you rather than to make empathy statements. So when you see something happening for your child, comment on what you're seeing. So for example, if they do slam the lid of the laptop down and storm off, it might be helpful to go up and say, "Oh, you looked really upset after you were just online chatting to your friends. I'm guessing something went wrong." What that then allows your child to do is to hopefully talk to you about what went wrong without feeling like they're about to be judged, or without feeling like we're going to get too inquisitive about whatever it is that's going on. So the more we can promote this idea of open, honest communication with our children, and that they know that they can come to us no matter what, the more likely we are to be able to discover about things like the cyberbullying that may be happening. There are a number of different ways in which children may be bullied online. One of the things that I suppose is quite common is for children to feel like they're being left out of something. So often children will create groupings. So they might have a WhatsApp group, they might have a Snapchat group, or there may be, I suppose we'd be more familiar with distribution lists on emails as adults. But in any situation, though, there may be a group that forms that your child isn't part of, and that can be really, really difficult for them. And so if that begins to happen and your child becomes aware that they're not part of the social groupings online, that might be a situation where you actually need to talk to some of the other parents of your child's friends to find out why that's happening, and then hopefully to get your child included back. Equally, children may find that they're being given nasty messages by other people. So that's very typical and equivalent to perhaps being teased or taunted or mocked. But also in an online world, sometimes your child can have their whole account taken over by a friend. So they may have given their password to a friend, and then suddenly their friend is posting things either about them or about other people, almost to get them into trouble. And so these are the ways, I suppose, we're not quite so used to ourselves as adults. And so we need to be a little bit more aware of the different forms of cyberbullying, so that we can also then, again, alert our children to the ways in which they may feel that their communication online just doesn't feel safe, or doesn't feel right, or leads them to feel very unhappy. In most instances of bullying, we often try and give children the tools to help them respond to it. And sometimes that's, very practical, if it's something physical in the real world, or if it's something where they're being taunted or mocked in the real world. With online bullying, however, it's much more important that we simply encourage them to stop interacting. So we need to tell children that they need to stop responding if they're being taunted online, for example. We need to encourage them to maybe take screenshots of any kind of communications that they feel that they're not happy with. We need them to maybe block somebody in terms of their social media, or it may even be that we have to get them to delete their entire social media account on a given platform. So children need to know that there are things that they can do if they're being teased or taunted, or if they feel that they're being got at online. And so we need to give them all of those tools for what they can do.